weird. Yes, you did. You made it weird.
What's happening, weirdos? This week on You Made It Weird, it is the incredible Ramy Youssef from his hit show Ramy, which you have to check out. Here's a little taste.
Online culture is, to me, it's like for all of the parody of Christianity or of religion or whatever, we operate from a very Christian standpoint, which is like, hey, look what this person tweeted in 2012. They are now no longer ever able to write or eat at any restaurant, right? So it's like that to me is like those are
Not
witch
only
trials. Those
can
are
you-
witch trials. That's what that is.
You know
You're
what I was
doing
going to
that.
say it is? It's hell.
It's hell.
You send them to hell.
You send them to hell. You're doing it.
And you sort of love it because if the evil is over there, it's not
It's
here.
not you. Like,
Yeah.
you're doing it.
That's
Half
what I mean,
the time,
the thrill when people are like, did you hear about? I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, you mean, why don't you just take, it's not us. It's not me.
But it's like half the time I'm like, I see the way these conversations go out, and it's someone who I know like hates religion, and I just want to be like, you're a Christian. like the way you're acting.
Such a great chat, guys. I'm so excited that we finally got to sit down. We only have a few Pete's Picks. If you guys want to support the show, one way you can do it is try the Apollo Neuro. This is something that I absolutely swear by. It has changed my life for the better. I have it here. As you can see, I'm in a hotel. I'm on the road. It's hard for me to unwind after shows. An Apollo Neuro is a wearable piece of technology that sends almost subperceptual vibrations into your nervous system, help you cope with stress. It's basically like a wearable hug for your nervous system that speaks the language of your nervous system, so it can tell you to calm down. After my show last night, I put on a setting called Rebuild and Recover. It just helps your body recover that much faster. It helps you lull it into a more sedated, stressless, beautiful, easy place. I also use that same setting after, say, like a visit with my parents, something like that. I put on Energy and Wake Up when I want to work out, sometimes Social and Open when I'm doing stand-up, like I was last night here in Portland, which was a great show. Thanks to everybody that came out. Helps you relax, sleep, focus, and be more productive. It is not woo-woo. I always like to point this out. It is made by a neuroscientist and a board-certified psychiatrist who've been studying the impacts of chronic stress in humans for nearly 15 years. And the settings are Energy and Wake Up, Social and Open, Clear and Focus, which has been proven to help people with symptoms of ADD to dial in. Whenever I'm writing, I got this thing rocking on Clear and Focus. Rebuild and Recover, which we covered. Meditation and Mindfulness, which gets my meditation, no joke, so deep. The first time I used the Apollo while I was meditating, I was like, is this thing meditating for me? If it only helped with meditation, I would still be shouting its praises from the rooftops, but it also helps with relax and unwind. And last night, as I was sleeping here in the hotel, it can be weird sleeping in a new place, I put on Sleep and Renew, which gently lulls you to sleep. It is incredible. It's such a great way to have nothing going into your system, but something on your system that can speak to your nervous system and help you cope with stress. Apollo's effects on stress, sleep, cognitive performance, and recovery have been proven in multiple clinical trials and real-world studies. And the more you use it, this is the best part, the better it works. So you can get 10% off. Try an Apollo Neuro. It's changed. I met a lot of weirdos. Several of them were wearing Apollos, and they told me that it changed their life as well. Give it a try. Show your support of the show, and you can get 10% off by going to apolloneuro.com/weird. That's APOLLONEURO.com/weird for 10% off, and show your support of the show. All right, guys, I do have some more tour dates, too. If you want to come and see me, go to PeteHolmes.com, or see me once a month in Los Angeles at Largo. Go to largo-la.com for tickets to that. In the meantime, enjoy this wonderful chat with the incredible Ramy Youssef. Get into it.
Yeah.
Couch? Look at that, man. Should I take off my shoes?
You can.
Okay, cool.
In fact, I would totally
So I
recommend.
can get comfy.
It's like a curl up. It's a curl up. I'm so happy to meet you, man. I've been watching
Same.
Ramy in prep,
Oh, dude.
and I'm like, why? Well, because we work in showbiz and we
We don't
sleep
watch
on
anything.
so many great
I know,
things.
I know.
But I was like, why did I wait until you were doing the podcast to like binge it?
Dude.
And I like just straight out the gate, it's so fucking good. It's incredible.
Thank you, man.
And as someone who made it like a similar tone show,
Yes.
like this isn't fake. I'm like, oh my God. Like I'm jealous in the right way. Like or maybe jealous isn't the right word. I'm like appreciative of how deliberate it is, how beautiful it is.
Thank you, man.
Like how it's like interesting frames and the colors. Like you go to a party and everything's blue, and I'm like, that's a meeting.
That's
a meeting.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like when you're just a fan of TV before you work in it, you're just kind of like, oh, I guess they went to a party and they filmed it. And I'm like, no, that was a meeting. That was a DP. Made a lot of choices.
Yes.
And your acting is fantastic.
Oh, thank you, man.
And the writing is fantastic, and we're just straight up loving it. Like,
dude,
this is sort of. It's not dirty to say. It's not my favorite thing to say. Sometimes I'll watch something, guest comes on, and then I'll stop. We're not going to stop.
Oh,
like
man,
we're in. We're in.
That means a lot.
It's a very specific compliment.
That means a lot. No, it is. It's a very like beyond research.
Yes, that's right. It is not. Well, that's even my point. Is I'm embarrassed that it was research, because a lot of people were religious, were comedians, or I guess we could say spiritual. I don't know. We'll get into that. But we're spiritual. When you thanked God on your Golden Globes, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why aren't we like talking? So now we're finally talking.
So cool.
It's great.
Yeah, man.
And the other, one more compliment about the show is when we made Crashing, like the thing that was so hard to do was like, a lot of times when you're shooting and you're riffing a lot, you're building it in the edit. Yeah. And when I watch Crashing, I don't think most people are this way, but when I watch it, I'm like, we cut to across the street wide, because that was the only take where one of the characters said that line.
Yeah.
And Ramy has none of that. It has this like feeling of like a bonsai tree, like very deliberate, trimmed and constructed. And I envy shows like that big time.
We don't riff. Like
Is that right?
we do, but like, okay, like I'm gonna make sure we get kind of what we need on the page really deliberately. Like it's kind of like this. It's like we'll rehearse it. You know how it is. So it's like we'll rehearse it. Something will sound dumb. We'll weed it out. But like by the time the camera rolls, there's a version that I know I want taped, and it will get that twice. And then the third one will be like, all right, if you want to add anything now that it's in your mouth, but like I feel like we already got it, we can do that. That's kind of like how we would do that. And we barely would ever get more than a fourth take or a third take, because we waste no money, and we're just moving fast, and we're like, it's just like we just have no time. We were some episodes we're shooting 4.5 days. So,
excuse me?
Yeah.
Like I'm like upset.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
4.5.
But I was just working on something, and somebody told me this Orson Welles quote, and I'm going to botch it.
Yeah.
But it's white wine and commercials are great. No, it's have you seen that?
No.
You got to watch Orson Welles
no.
doing the wine commercial, and he just gets drunker and drunker and drunker. It's one of the great YouTube clips.
Oh my God.
You have to watch it.
Amazing.
It's really hard to say the words he has to say when he's full of wine. He's like, it's like a cliche Flintstones drunk.
Oh my God.
But it's Orson Welles. It's fantastic.
So cool.
He said, a lack of restriction is the enemy of art, or something like that.
Right.
And I'm like, what you're saying is confirming that to me.
Yeah.
Because if you maybe had 2 weeks to do an episode, maybe you would go into bullshit town a little bit. And then you have almost too much to work with. What I'm saying, does that sound true, or am I putting words in your mouth?
No, I mean it's a reflection that I have thought about a lot. Like so it's interesting. Like we had to go through a really rigorous pilot process on
an RPP
on making the show to get it, and then I also made Mo, and we went straight to series on Mo. And I was really happy
on the back of Ramy.
The
sweat. Selling Ramy. Made Mo a walk in the park.
We were able to get it just straight to series, which of course it really was. It was like, oh wow, we had done this thing, and now we're able to do that.
Yeah.
But I was really grateful that I had so much restriction in making the Hulu show, that then when we went to go make this like straight to series thing, because I think if I didn't have that would have been a disaster. Like I actually think it would have just been way too much. And there were many times in that process of making Mo where I was like, it actually would have been really helpful to have a pilot, like, and like, you don't want to admit it, right? Because for us, we want the security, and we want the like, give it to us, man. I've been doing this, like, just give it to me. And I actually, there were a couple times where I was like, this would be a lot easier if we had a pilot because we could know, because right now we're writing 8 episodes into the void. I don't know if this person can act. I don't know anything. And we're just going. I learned so much from making the Ramy pilot where I was like, this dynamic needs to now be stretched and this needs to, because you had a
You're
pilot.
actually freaking me out a little bit about how nebulous it can be, how by the seat of your pants it can be. Like in the pilot of Crashing, George Basil's character Leaf, the guy who has sex with my wife, he says we're moving to Tampa.
Yeah. I know, because you're like, that's all it's going to be. And
we're like,
then you're like, whoa,
they're gone.
We need that guy.
We
need that guy.
Yeah, we need that guy. Yeah, we need that guy.
Oh, we need that guy.
And then we redid it. Then the season finale is me and him. I think I might be getting this wrong, but it's me and him looking like we're going to live together. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So that's how important George came to the show.
Yes.
So I hear what you're saying. That time. You hear about like movies that shoot over the holidays, they have to take a month break.
Oh my God.
In the middle of it.
What a dream.
And sometimes it's amazing because you get all this time.
That'd be a dream. Yeah.
It's something I remember, this is over 10 years ago, but Mulaney was like, there's a reason if they're going to adapt a script or write a pilot, there's a reason they give you 4 months or 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's because so much of it is just kind of like, write it, finish it, stare out the window, go for a drive, go for a jog, and you're like, wait,
what are we doing?
He can't die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then to your point, sometimes you shoot the pilot and you're like, I know Mo was already great, but you're like, we need this Mo guy.
No, but
Mo needs to be a big character or whatever.
Exactly. It's like Mo and Dave and a couple of these guys.
I don't care for Dave, but yeah.
Yeah, Dave, what are you going to do? But
I'm just kidding. Which one is Dave?
No, Dave plays my buddy Ahmed.
Okay.
With the glasses. Shaved head.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, it was very informative, and I've been thinking a lot about it lately because I went to see Avatar and the new one, right?
What if you just were like, found a dollar theater, they were showing the original Avatar, and it holds up. It's really good.
It was so funny seeing the new Avatar too. Like also had such like GoFundMe energy. I was like, if we don't go, Hollywood's over. Like I've never so obligatorily bought a ticket. I was like, if this movie doesn't do well, we're all screwed.
Movies will be over.
Movies will be over.
Yeah.
Like
James Cameron and Avatar.
It was if that doesn't kill,
and it did, right?
It did.
Yeah.
But I felt like we all knew we better go.
Yeah.
Because it really had this like support the industry. It felt like a fundraiser.
Yeah, 2020 election sort of vibes.
Yeah. Like, dude, we gotta vote.
That's over. That's over. They're like, I don't vote.
No.
You gotta go.
I vote and I go to Avatar. Like I'm not gonna.
I vote the way of water. That is what we do.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, too cool for school. Oh, I don't see Avatar. Oh, who gives a fuck?
I'll watch it on a plane.
I care.
You get in an IMAX theater right the fuck now.
I don't.
Democracy depends on
this. If you can't make it, absentee that shit and just buy a ticket. Don't show up. Just support it.
By the way, Jim Cameron, he's a friend. He doesn't care if you go.
He doesn't care if you go. He doesn't
buy a
care
ticket and
if
don't
you
go.
Leave. And the good thing about Avatar is it's a hang. You know what I mean? Like you could check emails, you could talk to people. Like I also went to one of those theaters where like there's like food, so you can just kind of like we're ordering food. We're
in
talking.
Brooklyn. Is this in Brooklyn?
This was I'm gonna promote them, the iPick Theater in Fulton Market in New York. But it's like. You're hanging, man. It's like a restaurant, basically. You got a big screen. You got 3 guys that come in. They're bringing you buffalo cauliflower, the whole thing.
Fan.
Yeah. So
that's a very New York thing.
Oh, we're chilling. We're taking calls. We're watching Avatar. Like, it's not a problem.
Was it good?
So here's the thing. I walked away and I was like, I know for a fact no one is allowed to give this guy a note. And I wish someone would be able to give him a few. Look, he's a genius. Like, I love filmmaking. I am like, I'm an aspiring filmmaker. Like I want to do these things. So this guy is a genius.
Yes.
He is actually a genius.
Yes.
And, if someone was able to talk to him about a few things, look, maybe he does. Maybe he has counsel and he already made a ton of changes.
Let's go with the more likely premise that people are afraid of
they're probably
Cameron.
so blown away by his genius because he is genius that they don't say much.
Yes.
And I think a couple things could have been said and it really would have been, something that I think would have been, look, it's already an instant classic because I think what he does visually is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I just think it also could have been an instant classic on the story level.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I have a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
I may never see it.
You also have, though.
I have?
Yeah, you saw it. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, did you see the trailer? Like, you know what I mean? You
I
saw
saw
it.
it.
Yeah.
I saw it if I
You
saw the
get
trailer.
it. You get
I was
it.
at a party. This is very Hollywoody, but it wasn't even a Hollywood party. And there was a guy who worked on the effects of that. And they
Yeah.
told me that they had like a 5,000 gallon tank of water.
Yeah.
That they were like shooting all of these practical things. So it's
Yeah.
hard to go to the guy who has this godlike and his wafy hair
Dude.
and his clean vegan living and he made fucking goddamn Titanic.
Yeah, dude,
and it's hard to
yeah.
go up to that guy and go like, maybe what without having seen it, what is one of the notes? No context. Just give me one of your thoughts.
A note on Avatar was, I mean, just there's a lot of like repetitive story beats. There's just certain things that it could be shorter, you know, like, and okay, this is my big philosophical note that you can understand.
Can't wait.
Like without having seen it, is that everyone there fights with like semi-automatic, automatic weapons and rifles.
Including
and like,
the Na'vi?
yes.
Oh.
And that's the whole thing to me where I'm like, why do the Na'vi use machine guns? Like, wouldn't they have some way to channel?
Quick question. Just because I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's not explained why they have machine guns. They just have them?
Well, I think the people who are visiting bring them in, but then the Na'vi like embrace them and use them and take them and like shoot up.
And there's no dialogue of like, should we be using
No,
these?
and they do it in the first movie too. It's one of the weirdest things. Like the first movie, my biggest gripe with it was that, you know, what's his name's character, Sam, the guy, the lead dude, Worthington. Yeah, Worthington comes in and there's this scene, it's so funny, where Worthington goes to like this tree. It's like this magical tree and he starts talking to the tree and being like, help me, tree.
Yes.
And then the Na'vi are all like, that's not how it works. You can't just talk to the tree. And like somehow like this guy who's like this like outsider knows that you actually can talk to the tree and then like nature helps. And I'm like, you're telling me these people are stupid enough that they don't understand that like their own
They
tree
have a
could help
magical
in
tree?
the war? Yeah, like, but no. Sam
the-
Worthington knows that the
The
tree's magical. It's
visiting
just like-
white savior?
The visiting
question
white
mark?
savior
Blue
somehow-
savior. Blue savior.
Dude, like somehow he understands their land
Yes.
better than
Yes.
they do.
Like
Which is-
they have the magic, but we know how to use the magic.
I'm like,
no.
wow, you have no reflection on what America did. Like, you don't even have like any sort of like,
Dude,
it's
isn't
just-
there an
yeah, yeah.
unconscious, like, sure, the Native Americans
Reinforcing.
had it, but we knew how to
We knew what to
rock
do.
it.
Yeah, we really knew what to do with
Yes.
it. Yeah. Everything's like,
It's like-
all Elvis, you know, like we knew how to market him, you know, we knew what to do. Like,
Stealing
it's just
black
all-
music.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's like-
I understand what you're saying.
It's
And there is like an unconscious arrogance of like, sure, we broke a few eggs, but that's a killer Denver omelet.
dude,
No,
it's
did
all-
not know.
It's all Elvis.
Okay, and is there Elvis singing "The Way of the Water" as well? Are they still after unobtainium? I had a hard time getting over that it was called
Yeah,
unobtainium.
he struggles with those kinds of things, like naming things and
Well, that's what I mean. There's something that, again, full respect, Jim. Full respect. Jim's a friend. Jim is a friend. He's just cruising
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
And he stumbles upon this and he's
Yeah.
like, single tear, Jim.
yeah.
He does tend to make movies that really hold your hand and walk you through it. Like you're not gonna miss it.
And I think that there's value to that.
That's
too,
what I mean,
is
like-
the thing, because it's like, you know, who like this is a very popular podcast, right? Like I'm sure you get a ton of people watching it.
Sure.
And the people that you get watching it is still
The views underneath this video click over to 12.
no, but it's like it's infinitesimally small compared to like what,
Dude.
you know? So it's like he obviously is playing to everybody in
Yes.
a way that like we never will.
I think
so.
about
It's just
this-
kind of like, yeah, it actually, you know what? The thing you can't obtain, it needs to be called unobtainium because there is no other way that they're gonna remember it. All right. So I'm sorry, you can sit here with your nuance and you think it's cool that when I shot
Yes.
a party scene it was blue, but you know what? We can both go fuck ourselves. Like because
Yes.
that's the reality. Is like you actually need to call it unobtainium.
Well, dude, if Ramy was my big fat Muslim wedding.
right.
And I'm not putting down my big fat Greek wedding.
It's
I'm
a
just saying you
classic.
could have been like,
Yes.
Mom, stop
Yes.
arranging my
Yes.
marriages. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And actually, in a way, when we were making Mo is broader. Like whenever you get a chance to see it, it is.
Oh, I won't
it
be
is
watching.
yeah, well, but Dave's not in it, so I think you should watch it. I am telling you, Dave is nowhere near it.
I love Mo.
yeah, I know.
Mo Amer is incredible.
he's so funny.
Yeah.
and
he's great on your show.
He's so good
that
on the
dick
show.
pic run, I was like, this is as good as anything going. You know, like certain things go viral, and
Yeah.
it's such a throwaway. Like a worse show would have made the episode about whether or not you sent a dick pic.
Yes.
But instead, you had the restraint. Restraint is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm like, you should have restraint. Don't call it unobtainium.
Yes.
But restraint gets dicks like me being like, well done, Ramy.
I know.
And wins you a Golden Globe. But it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like,
doesn't.
It doesn't blow up. I don't want to say a state and put it down and be a coastal elite. I'm just saying my mom isn't going to necessarily jive with it.
No, of course. I mean, like, if
Or
she
my mom's
finds it, maybe she
friends.
will. But like,
Yes,
will it
of
get
course.
to her?
Will it get to
you
her?
know what I mean? And I think that like, yeah, that is just when we were making Mo, we were kind of like, all right, this is Netflix. And it's going to be a little bit broader. And I still think it's incredibly specific in so many ways. But we also were like, yeah, a couple of these bits are slapsticky. A couple of these, there's things that I would be less like I just wouldn't put in Ramy that with Mo. And for nothing else other than that was the choice. We were like, no, we're going to lean into that.
But isn't Mo Amer, we're talking about Mo, am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
Mo Amer,
Amer
yeah.
or Amer? Amer. I don't want to be embarrassed. I didn't come here to be embarrassed. He's got, and I would say this to his face.
Yeah.
He's got like, I want to see him tumble.
Yes.
I want to see he's clownish.
Yes.
And I mean that as a compliment.
No. He's
Remember, something
classic
happened.
comedy.
Classic
he's physical.
Comedy. He's like Laurel
funny.
and Hardy.
Yeah. And by the way, that's like, I don't want to say it's coming back because I don't think it ever went anywhere.
Yeah.
But I do think that like, there was some point in which like being bigger started to become like something that, you know, comedy snobs would find embarrassing or disrespectful.
Right.
But then I think that's what's so funny about like a guy like Mo and a guy like Sebastian who are just kind of like, no.
Right.
This shit works. And you know, like, it's like there's the comedy that gets to your head, but then there's the comedy where the guy is tumbling around and he finds that button in your armpit and he presses it and you just start dying laughing.
Yep.
And like that kind of comedy really makes me laugh. I mean, it's just like I'm like, oh, Mo and I do totally different things, but I'm just like, man, this guy's funny. Like Sebastian, man, this guy's like Sebastian's my favorite comic right now.
Yeah.
His specials are so
fantastic.
clear and they're so funny.
And they're for everybody.
They're for everybody.
I was shooting something yesterday, and there was the grandmother of one of the child actors, was going on about how much she loves Sebastian. I was like, it's like, look, Cosby, bad dude, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that market of like, this is for everybody. I know that's over.
Yeah.
I only apologize for saying Cosby for 45 minutes. It's This is an uncomfortable podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so put that aside, but there is a market for like, it's clean. Sebastian will take a premise like paper straws.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm going to be honest. There might be a part of me that's like, I'm not doing paper straw jokes. Guys.
Yes.
I'm not doing it.
Yes.
Because it's an observation. My operation, you know, the sides of the thing buzz on the toy. If it's something I could think my dad would say in a barbershop. Paper straws, you know, you suck on it 3 times and it's fucking done. Like, what if I give me a straw?
Yeah.
And then Sebastian does that premise really well. Guess what?
Yeah.
Now I'm laughing because it's great. And my dad is also invited to the party.
Yes.
Now you're selling 2 tickets.
No, it's and that's the thing. It's like I put on Sebastian with my parents because it's like we want to watch something and it's so funny because they're laughing, they're dying, and I'm laughing, dying.
Right.
While as opposed to like, I know if my special's on, like the cool parents will like what I'm watching and the kids will like it, but like it's not gonna hit in the same way that like a Sebastian thing does. And that's something that I like really appreciate it because the whole point of doing this stuff is like getting people to connect, you know, and really like, you know, helping people feel less alone and entertain them and do all those things.
And if you can laugh with your mom, that's incredible. Do you, again, we're both raised religious, did you find doing comedy, because you'll go dirty-ish.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Not like ugly dirty, but you'll go dirty. Isn't it weird? I feel like if you would have predicted that what we would have done when we were 20, I would be doing what Nate Bargatze's doing. But I'm up there going like, I did a joke last night on my set list. On the set list, it said jizz on the windshield. That was the name of the bit. And I'm like doing jizz on the windshield.
Which is an automotive issue that has gone unaddressed.
People aren't talking about it. Some of these factories are putting the windshield wiper fluid with a different kind of fluid, and it's not helping. It's kind opaque.
It's an industrial rebellion that has gone unseen.
How are the conditions on these assembly lines that people are jizzing?
Well, it almost sounds too fun to make a car these days. Like, you know, I want the old school, like in a factory. These guys are just they're seeing electric cars coming and they're just jizzing away because they
How do we
know
make this
they're
more
done.
human, more down to earth?
Yeah, they're saying, really? Can you get
Actually,
jizz with a Tesla? No.
The bit was actually about when I see, and you do in LA, people masturbating in public. I really get nervous, and the joke is like, why? And I'm like, I asked my brain because there was a guy jaying it on a bus stop.
Yeah.
First of all, I put my hand up to not look.
Yeah.
Like it was too tempting to look.
Yeah.
Like there's this weird
So
you
funny.
kind of want to look.
Yeah.
Again, not in an arousing way, but just
Yeah.
like, how the fuck is this happening? And the guy did have it was beautiful. It was a big,
Just
beautiful dick.
yeah.
And I kept wanting to look. And then I realized I was very nervous because I was at a red light. And I was like, why am I nervous? And I'm like, my brain immediately said, he's going to jizz on the windshield.
Yeah.
That's the fear. And I was like, because I'm going to get involved somehow.
Yeah.
Like I'm at an
You're gonna have
orgy. I'm in a car.
That's how. I mean, it's a beautiful concern. You're connected. To,
Well, what I like about that joke, even though it's filthy, and I didn't mean to sidebar us into me open micing it, is that it's a joke about what are you afraid of? And when you ask your brain direct questions like, what do you think is going to happen?
Yes.
And it says he's going to jizz on the windshield.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything funnier than that.
Yes.
Certainly it's funnier to say jizz on the windshield, but it's actually helpful to go like, your brain is stupid.
This is where I'm actually at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it has bad guesses.
Yeah,
And it has
yeah.
bad guesses for everything.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think your dad would do if this happened or that? Let's go back to your thing. So you're dirty, but why aren't we clean? That's my question.
Why aren't well,
Why aren't we doing what Sebastian does, especially seeing as we had like a little bit more of a preconditioning towards purity? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like it's also too. It's kind of like stage persona versus real life, right? So, I mean, I think it is. Yeah, it's just fun to do the thing you weren't supposed to do. That's kind of the whole. Yeah, that's what's fun about this job, you know.
That would be my answer too.
Yeah.
And looking back, I was listening to. I put on Green Day today.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Longview, and I remember the first time I heard it when I must have been 12 or something.
Yeah.
And he says masturbation, he says fuck.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God. And I think that's what lit the fuse.
Yeah.
Secretly for me to be like, I can't wait to be dirty. Like that would be a thrill.
Well, it's also this thing too, I think for me, where it was like, you know, and I think maybe, I don't know if you had this, it sounds almost insane to say, but you grow up in a pious structure and I know, you know, we can get into this too, but it's like in terms of however it is that you carry it. But I had this thing where I was like, all right, well, if I'm a public person, I know I talk, I know I communicate well to people. And it felt really clear to me as I was getting into comedy. It's like, well, I'm not going to be an imam. I'm not going to be a sheikh. Like, I'm not going to be that guy. So I better like double down on what it is that I'm doing. So, you know, so it's like, I'm not going to go into comedy and like kind of be pious. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, no. If you have the microphone, like do the thing that you're going to do and like be effective at it.
Yeah.
So you know, you could have been a priest.
Yeah.
You, Pete Holmes, could have easily been a priest.
Right.
You know, you could have led a congregation.
But we didn't. So let's not.
So let's not. So if that's not what we're doing, then let's really not do that. Like that's the whole point of this medium.
Yes.
You know, like, what's interesting about the medium is that it feels like it's safe to do those things because we're all agreeing that it's not real life. We're agreeing that we're playing with something abstract and we're playing with real emotions. And then here I'm free. And here I can do all those things that I wouldn't do. I can say all those things I wouldn't say. I can reflect in a way that feels just, you know, more expansive in that, you know.
Right. That's exactly right. So well put. It's funny. Part of me was like, should we edit out jizz on the windshield? But then I'm also like, that's because I was like, did I offend Ramy?
No,
I know I didn't.
No, I mean,
I know I didn't. But you just articulated why we won't.
Yeah, no.
Is because it's this weird bubble where the audience, for some reason, like a jester or something, goes like, I'll allow it.
Yes. Yeah, we're we're agreeing to a suspension of disbelief every time we get onto a stage anywhere.
Right.
You know, unless you're doing one of those comedy shows where you're like ambushing a restaurant that didn't know a comedy show was going to happen, then there's like no agreement. Those were the shows. Those are the shows I hated the most. My whole like comedy would be like, we're at a restaurant, and it's like half the people are like, "What? There's comedy here tonight?" Like they didn't even know.
Oh no!
I stopped doing those shows because I was like, it felt
sabotage shows.
It was sabotage. It felt aggressive. It felt
aggressive.
It felt illegal on a level.
It should be
I was
illegal.
like, they didn't consent. Like, you know, we're talking about consent. They did not consent.
I completely agree.
Very
you
weird.
need consent.
You need it. And,
In fact, yes.
And then stuff doesn't hit the same, you know what I mean? But the flip of that, there's like guys who could kind of go into, like those situations helped me a lot with stand up and kind of getting, an audience's attention, especially an unwilling one. But yeah, I think like for the most part, what's great about stand up is there's suspension of disbelief. We're down to like jump into this. We don't need it to all be not even just autobiographically true. We don't need it all to be like morally correct. And there are, we're a very, very moral code society, like especially in America. This is a very moral society. It might not be Christian, it might not be whatever, but whatever you are, whatever it is that you believe, you're really,
you're identified with it.
Very identified.
Tell me what
with
you
it.
mean. So,
I mean, if you're someone who is an atheist, but you have your things that you believe in that you think are in the opposition of that, right? You're going to be very stringent as to who can say what and what can happen, right? And I think that's kind of what's going on too with like online culture is, to me, it's like for all of the parody of Christianity or of religion or whatever, we operate from a very Christian standpoint, which is like, hey, look what this person tweeted in 2012. They are now no longer ever able to write or eat at any restaurant, right? So it's like that to me is like those are witch trials. Those are witch trials. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like that's what that is. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's,
you know what I was going to say it is? It's hell.
It's hell.
You send them to hell.
You send them to hell. You're doing it.
And you sort of love it because if the evil is over there, it's not
It's not you. Like you're doing it. You're, so it's like
that's
half
what I mean.
The
thrill when people are like, "Did you hear about?" I'm like, "Oh, you mean why don't you just take? It's not us. It's not me. The evil's over there."
And especially when then on top of it, they like because now we're in a situation where like the country's split into left and right, and the right is synonymous with religion, which is such a awful marketing situation.
Agreed.
But it's like then you have the left acting in certain ways and they don't believe in religion, but it's like half the time I'm like I see the way these conversations go out and it's someone who I know like hates religion and I just want to be like, you're a Christian. like the way you're acting, oh, you are so fucking Christian. Like it's not even. And by the way, whatever the meaning of that word is, because it no longer means anything.
Right.
It's like it's just been stripped of whatever.
You and I both know what you mean.
Yeah. So you hate Christians, but you are one too.
Yes.
And it's just like we gotta. There's no love. Like there really is no love, and it's incredibly frustrating.
Well, that's when Joaquin Phoenix did that acceptance speech where he's like, did you see it? Where he did a nice vegan shout out, but he also did a thing where he was like, he basically pointed out that we love movies about redemption.
Yes.
And forgiveness.
Yes.
Like they'll make us bawl and
yes.
Oh, you looked past like Dead Man Walking. Like he made mistakes, but you don't throw out the person.
Yeah.
And, oh, but he, I don't want to spoil the movie if you haven't seen it. It's a great movie. But then like in reality, we just can't wait to burn everybody or just send them to hell.
Yeah.
I tried for the longest time. But it was working in the wrong way to do a joke about how as a person who was raised Christian, I was way ahead of the being offended game. The only funny line was I was like, you guys are mad at everything now. I was mad at the song OPP. Like where were you during OPP? Like that was upsetting to me. Like Married with Children was upsetting to me. Like we were you guys are so late to the game. But when I would do it in certain places, like I could tell it wasn't a joke. They were like, yes, this is right. Like we should be judging and holding people accountable and burning them the fuck to the ground. And I was like, I can't thread the needle.
Right.
But you're Christian, that is the bet. You realize you're Christian.
You realize you're Christian.
You guys are Christian.
You're Christian.
You might not thank the Lord for your meal.
Oh my God, you're Christian.
But you love that Lord.
Put up a fucking Christmas tree all year round.
Yes.
You're Christian. Yeah, it's really and it drives me nuts. Like it's really
you're Christian.
Yeah, you're Christian. I don't know what to tell you.
Why does it drive you nuts? Because the hypocrisy, obviously, and
it's hypocrisy of everybody. It's like it's okay. So there's this huge issue with the way all the religions are operating right now. They're completely industrialized. They're weaponized. They're about putting people down, controlling people, making money. That is how religion has manifested in our lifetimes. Like I think we're trying to claw out of that. And then I think there's this response of saying, well, I don't want anything to do with that because I don't want that kind of oppression and I don't want that shame and I don't want all of that. I essentially am saying I want freedom and I want love. And I think that's kind of what people are trying to say. So then to see the same tactics and the same systems completely inhabit the new thing, it feels maddening, because people are really lost, because on one side, there's no real home in so many religious spaces. And that is the fault of there are big rotten, pieces in the lineage of a lot of these faiths right now in how people have been enacting them.
Right.
And then on the other end, you kind of want to feel like the sense of community, but it's also not there. Like the line feels like really, really thin and frail and fragile.
Right.
And so I just think people feel really alone right now.
Yeah, that's really interesting, man. A couple things came to mind. It's like, do we know what we want? Do we know what we need? It's also, I forget who said it, but it's like people in the West, whatever you want becomes your God. And like in California specifically, like what's the cliche? You come to California and you become like a love and lighter.
Yeah.
Someone who's into love and light. Well, yeah, we got a lot of like self-help and we have a lot of like eating clean and doing yoga and stuff. So that just becomes your God, but it's not love. This is a big talking point for me. It's not actually love. It's just a good feeling.
Yeah.
So what becomes our religion actually, or becomes our idea of the divine, is just the thing that gives us a good feeling.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But it's not mercy. Don't
No.
get me started on mercy.
Yeah.
Mercy is like one of the least appealing things to the human ego.
I know.
Because it means what we want, I've been trying to do a bit about this too. We don't want mercy. We want begrudging forgiveness. Meaning like you fucked up, I'll forgive you, but I'm going to let you know what it is I'm forgiving you for. And I might even remind you what it is I'm forgiving you for. Like that feels great to the ego because now there's a power balance. But mercy just dissolves it away. You take the mistake or whatever it might be, and you dissolve it into a glass of milk like Ovaltine. It's gone, or it's completely used, or redeemed, into a delicious glass of Ovaltine. Nobody wants that.
No, we want, because I really, my deep feeling is like everything is capitalist. Everything is capitalist. So it's like even the way we view religion now, totally capitalist. I do this, I go to heaven. I do this, I go to hell.
You buy it.
It's all like a bank account, right? And the same thing is with forgiveness. So it's like forgiveness is like what you're essentially saying is like, well, I'll forgive you with interest.
That's right.
It's like like you gotta feel that I'm forgiving
because
you. It
then
can't
it'll
be
give me a good feeling.
I have an upper hand,
and that's all I want.
I get a little bit more because I did that. Mercy, there's no interest on that. It's truly fine. Hey, all good.
Yes,
that's it. You don't get the extra pat on the back. You're actually just living in a state where you are truly allowing mercy.
Right.
No one wants that.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Everyone wants a leg up.
You know what's funny, dude? The capitalist thing really works for me. Why do we get so worked up if you're Android or iPhone or whatever? I think deep down, it's like jizz on the windshield. What are you really afraid of with the wrong phone? Wrong phone, I think you go deep enough down that choice. Wrong God. Wrong life system. And like when you choose your clothing, your car, what you eat, where you live, all of that is sort of your capitalistic deity. It's your totem pole of these are my beliefs. Again, another bit I'm trying to work on is that like my God is love and it's boring as shit. Like nobody wants, I'm not talking about like, I'll look the other way on that. I mean like, dude, there's nothing you could do or have ever done or could ever do that would change the way that I am because I'm God. You know what I mean? Like, how can you change perfect love? In fact, it's an ego trip to think that you said motherfucker or jizz on the windshield or whatever it might be, and now I don't like you. Like, who the fuck are you that you can affect God and make him mad at you? Like the control room in Jason Bourne, they're like, God damn it, he jerked off again. Like, send out more agents. Like, it's a huge ego trip. But love, the God of love is such a snooze. I say this tongue in cheek. He's like a friend that won't talk shit. You're sitting at the bar and you're like, did you see what Ramy did? I mean, he calls himself a Muslim, you know? And I like, is he even doing this or this? Is he this? And God's like, won't engage. You're like, this God sucks. Like, I want that Old Testament God that would be like, we should smite him. He always wants to smite. He's down for a smiting. That's so much more fun. Because it feeds our identity. If you suck and I'm not you, I get a hit of goodness and I get to know I'm not you and identify you and separation. And then if God's over here with me, I say this with love because I spent a lot of my life this way, but there's a lot of egocentrism. It's egocentric.
Yeah.
I know what God likes. I know God
Yeah.
likes me. I know God doesn't like me.
Yeah.
It's either special love or it's special hate.
Yeah.
But either way, you have God by the hair.
Yeah.
Like what you do is like shifting the divine moment to moment.
Yeah.
And you just hope you die when you're on the up.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's making you really, 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 really special. It makes you the center of the universe.
It's very torturous. I mean, everything you're saying, it's like so torturous because it's like, it's so in line with our obsessions with like control and our obsessions with knowing. We're so obsessed with like knowing everything.
Yes.
You know, and I think what's
You like the
inherently-
future too.
the future and what's inherently, you know, there with any spiritual practice is that you're kind of submitting to the idea that there is an unseen. There is what we don't see. And everyone has a deal with the unseen, right? Even if you don't believe in a higher power, it's like you that active choice to say, well, I'm not going to engage with what I don't see that way is a deal, right? And I think that you know there's stuff you don't see. Those are your fears. Those are your anxieties. Those are your what might happen. Well, now you're just living in the thing you can't see because it's not in front of you. So we're always aware that there's stuff we don't know that's not in front of us. And then we're always in this race to somehow still know and to somehow, you know what's going to be in front of us. So that's that like need to know, that need to control. And that becomes the lens through how we view everything.
And religion certainly can be used. You could criticize religion for that same thing. Like the people that look at it. Okay, let me put it this way. There's the way that I look at spirituality now is a way of participating with the mystery, meaning you're not going to get like a printout of exactly what's going on. So it's a way of engaging with the unknown, and humility and surrender is a huge part of that. Going like, I don't know.
Yes.
I believe there is a knowing, a large knowing that I can merge with and be with, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'll be able to be like, let me tell you how everything works.
Sure.
Because that would be Pete. I'm talking, there's another thing, there's another part of me that can merge with that knowing.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a private experience. That's what prayer is or contemplation or meditation or whatever it might be. But you could say that one of the things that religious people get criticized for, and I would say fairly, is what you're saying as well. Because if you use your faith as I'll tell you the story. As a way to end the conversation, going like, God said it, I believe it, that does it.
Yeah.
That's also a type of arrogance and a type of knowing that stops the participation with the mystery and stops that sort of visceral engagement right now.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. We're on a planet right now.
Yeah.
We are both aware right now. You're in my awareness and I'm in your awareness. And that's fucking, nobody understands that.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
That something is happening.
Yeah.
We have the impression that something is happening, and we've done a pretty good job analyzing what's happening.
Yeah.
But we don't have it all figured out. And the story I was going to tell you was I'm walking out of a movie. It was a Superman movie at Union Square. Walking out, and the little boy said to his dad, he goes, "How'd they make that man fly?"
Yeah.
And the dad just goes, "Computers." And I'm like, that's what so many of us do. Computers just means something I don't understand is doing something I don't know what.
Yeah.
But like if you stop at computers, either you say it was God and you use it to stop,
Yeah,
or you
yeah.
say it was nothing
Yeah.
and you use it to stop.
Yeah.
Both of those are sort of, in my view, faulted. Like it's supposed to be engaged with as often as
Yes.
you can.
Yes.
In every moment
Yes.
that you can.
Yeah.
In fact, that vigilance is what all of the great teachers seem to agree on. There's a premium on being present.
Yes.
And I like the word vigilant. Jesus actually likens God to a burglar who's going to break into your house. You should wait for God like a burglar who's going to break into your house. Have you ever
Wow.
been awake at night thinking someone's breaking into your house? How are you?
Yeah.
In Taoism, they talk about be as careful as a monk crossing ice, like a frozen river. Like that's how
Wow.
you can move. Like
Wow.
stop taking everything for granted. I'm going to bed.
Yes,
I'm gonna
yes.
wake up and eat breakfast. That's what I'm trying to say to you right now. This could be it.
Yes.
This could be it.
Yes.
So what do we know right now?
Yes.
So I just unloaded a lot on you. Forgive me.
No.
But like using religion as a way to stop the conversation.
Yes.
I feel like it seems like we're in agreement. Let's not do that either. Or
Yeah.
using it as a book of answers.
Of course. I mean, it's like everyone, in their own way, and this is kind of what we were talking about earlier. This is a behavior of human beings, and I think that like the conversation maybe is a little shifted towards, this is what religious people do, because I think that religion, the unique thing about religion is that it leverages the unseen to control people. And I think that the
Just
thing
gonna say that. That's great.
That's what it does. It
big.
like the industry of religion
Yeah.
leverages the unseen to control people. That's the negative.
Because you can sell people a lot by going, you don't know what this is,
Yeah.
you don't know what's going to happen, and I'm going to throw in this, you don't know what happens after you die.
Right.
That's a great way to start a timeshare presentation.
Yes. and then the flip, what we have with what is like this new culture, is leveraging the scene to control people.
Wow.
So it's like, well, I saw him do that. Look at what this person did. And all you're looking at is one tiny thing, and then, or whatever it is, or it could be a huge thing. And you know, whatever it is, we're only looking at what we can see and then controlling with that. And so they're really both difficult positions to be in. Like, and that's why I say it seems to me that this is just the behavior of people. Like, I think it's like, how do we separate? You know, there are a lot of amazing, deep wisdom traditions on this earth, and it is an arrogance to think that they've only been here because we haven't been able to update them. You know,
Right.
our thinking is just like, everything is just like, well, we only use mail because, you know, we didn't have Wi-Fi and now there's no mail. Like, that's how we look at all these traditions.
That's right.
And I think that is really arrogant, because I think it you know, because even the Wi-Fi mail thing is arrogant, because it, you know, I constantly walk around like that monk on ice thinking, what happens when there's just a few little tweaks and like electricity's fucked and internet's fucked? You know, all these things are so fragile.
Right.
They're so fragile. Like,
Right.
we're just like it is insane how quickly we'll need to like mail a fucking letter, or like there'll be like some point, you know, where we're just like, the shit's not working, you know, like just not having Wi-Fi in your
that's
house
a
for like
bit.
a day, you know, like
These are bits.
No, yeah, but it's like it's
suddenly
it's so
mailing a letter
thin.
makes a
It's
lot
like suddenly
of
you're
sense.
like, yo, the mailman will be just this fucking hero, you know.
Kevin Costner,
you know, it's like
the postman.
yeah,
He's
fuck,
back.
This guy is just like, mail's back, baby, you know, like, but like,
Yes.
all these things, you know, we get so egotistical about it. We get so egotistical about it, dude, and it.
You're right, but
so
it's magic. It's like worshiping your own strength,
Yes.
with no appreciation for the fact that all of that strength is floating in space.
And there's clear lineage, you know, things come like in a certain way. There's a chain of human beings, and I think the more we look back and you know, because look, we can look back and see horrendous things. You know, you look back into the past and you see just dark shit. And then you say, okay, well, I'm glad we got past that, and like, you know, as people. But you know, it's so funny. Even as I say that, I question it, because I was about to say, you look back and you see slavery, and you look now and it's not here. And it's like, well, slavery that we learned about in textbooks, thankfully, has been, you know, changed in America. And there is so much slavery happening right now. There are more slaves than there have ever been. Like, just to make the shit that we consume on 24/7 that fills every shelf, the way we look at what's happening in so many countries around the world, you know, so these things are still happening. So
Right.
it's actually really hard to even say that we've like eradicated, you know, a lot of things. But the thing I'm kind of trying to anchor this in is that, like, to me, it's people. I think, you know, to just say religion is fucked, or to just say liberals are fucked, or to just say this thing is fucked. All of these points of view and all of these paths clearly all have legitimacy, and they need to be treated with the respect of having legitimacy, and then understand that, man, the wrong people in any of these would be really, you know, are devastating. You know, they can do devastating things to others.
There's a way to corrupt this.
Anything.
For sure.
Anything.
Yeah, so many things are coming up. It's interesting when I look at organized religion. I'm one of those that, like, I'm not even really trying to fuck with that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to save it. It's
Right.
just overwhelming. But I'm also
Right.
an introvert. So what I'll say about my spirituality is I like how private it is, meaning like it does just come down to, like, when I close my eyes, I try and get in touch. This is Rupert Spira. I'll say it anytime I can. Your experience is known. Like, you see things, but there's a part of you that knows it.
Yeah.
Right? So you hear things, but there's a part of you that knows it. So to me, spirituality is interested in that knowing presence.
Yes.
I've said this a million times, but I'll say it every time it comes up, because that's so important that very few people ever stop to go, what is it that's aware of my experience?
Yes.
Like, where does it all go to, where it's scene.
Yes.
He likens it to a movie screen. He's like, you watch a movie, you get all caught up in the drama, you forget that there's a screen. Our awareness is the screen. You could also say it's the piece of paper that everything is written on. The one that I trip out on is like, even if a sound is far away, like you might hear a car or you might hear my voice very close, it doesn't matter. They're both as close as they can possibly be to you because they're inside of you. They are you. Like there's the sensation that one's dimmer and brighter, but they're you. And everything is, touching is knowing, seeing is knowing. Like, does that all make sense?
Yes.
So when I close my eyes, going back to the private part of it, and I try to just go like, what is that? What is the experience of that knowing without any input? If I can just look at a blank screen, and when I get there, I go like, all right, what the mystics, the sages, and the prophets were saying was right on. When I look at what people are doing with that experience, I get a little shifty.
Yeah.
I have a joke. I go, I believe in God, but I hate when other people believe in God.
Yeah.
Because I never know which one it is.
Yeah.
There's so many. It could be a terrible one.
Yeah.
As Father Greg Boyle says, wrong God. Like if your God is this, he's like wrong one. He's like if it's that or whatever. So anyway, what do you make of the? Do you enjoy the private relationship you have? Is that cleaner or purer because you don't have to look at the capitalism of it or the organization of it or the history of it? You can just.
It's all about the private.
That's
what it is. Like that's what, so when you're saying that, I'm like, yes, that is all that it's about, and that's what is so frustrating about religious culture is that everything is like. I think the goal of all these things is to create community where you can find others, where you can kind of share a space where you're aligned, but also knowing that it is a private journey. Like
right.
we're
it's a
all
collection of people interested in a private journey.
And that's where the community comes in, and that's what's interesting. And that collection can help govern. It can help do a lot of things in idyllic worlds. But like we know it's going to malfunction because we're human. But the goal really, and I think it is to understand that, I grew up with, and they'd say it in Arabic, but my whole family, all the time, at the end of any sentence, at the end of whatever, it would just be a real quick, only God knows. Just really only God
What
knows.
is it in
Only God
Arabic?
knows. Only God knows. Allah. Like that's
I mean,
only
that's-
God knows. Only
yeah.
that's what do we know?
Yeah.
Like and sitting in that in like a real way, that's a great way to access mercy because you really are just like, man, I don't like. And you look at modern things in America where you're just kind of like, you brought him up, a guy like Cosby. It's like for a long time, only God knew, and a few people who were really hurt, and the rest of the world was convinced. Well, wow, here's this like guy who's like an arbiter of justice and this and that and this icon and like the impact of who he was cannot be understated. I mean, it's just like, whoa. It's like this guy was he shifted culture in massive ways and was also doing so many things that were the opposite of what he said he was doing and what he was shifting.
Right. But I love the way you're using it. You're saying, look, the virtuous can also be, I don't want to say wicked, but we'll just say wicked. But the wicked might be virtuous. Like the breaking down. So the work of Byron Katie is really meaningful to me. And she has something called The Work where you say like, let's say I say, Ramy's greedy, just something negative.
Yeah.
And you just question it. You go, is that true?
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, it's fucking true. I lent him $1,000 and he never paid me back.
Yeah.
Can you be sure that it's true? That's the second question.
Yeah.
It's so, I have the chills just thinking about it. No one does that. Can you be sure that it's true?
Yeah.
Very few of us do it. And you just go like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
There's a great freedom realizing you don't have to be the judge. You don't have to go around judging everything like you fucking know. I'm talking about, you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
What do I know is going on in your life? Katie and I, no, I'm sorry, Kat was just here. Sorry, I keep confusing you. Two people were here and I confused them.
Not you.
Kat and I, we're talking about when someone doesn't reply to a text and you'll be like, what a piece of shit. And you're like, you've never opened a text and gone like, I need to reply to that. And then you close it and you forget about it.
Yeah.
But that times 100 billion is all of the different things that could be going on.
Yeah.
So That's fine. That's a nice thought experiment. It's like a graduation speech I could give.
No,
at
yeah.
not at a non-Ivy League school. But the conclusion is, so put the bags down.
Yeah.
That's freedom.
Yeah.
When you realize you can't judge
Yeah.
accurately, then you stop judging, and then you know what you are? You're a smiling saint.
Yeah.
That's what the saints were doing. They weren't judging. That's why they were happy.
Yeah, they genuinely weren't. But
Yes.
and I think, you know, the thing that'll always, because I've really thought about this a lot, because it's like I don't want to judge, right? And I want to be like in that kind of, you know, saintly thing, and I'm very active working, because obviously part of what we do is like
Ramy,
judge.
We've
you know what I mean?
sharpened our swords pretty sharp. You know what I mean?
And it's also like to
the
do
judging
comedy,
part.
right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
what we do.
That's what we do.
People
So-
bring us topics and we go,
yeah.
yeah.
But the thing, you know, actually, like I had this big kind of breakthrough with COVID, because it was kind of it did something to how I viewed a lot of these things, and it became so simple. It was kind of like, okay, a friend has COVID. Because this was the first time it really felt like this. Friends would be sick, you'd still hang out with them. You don't give a fuck, you know. Before COVID, someone sneezing, oh, what are you, sick? I'm not gonna stay away from you. I don't give a fuck. Like, we
Val
feel
and I were
invincible.
just talking about that.
Feel invincible.
You might not shake their hand. Somebody's
Maybe.
like,
I
has
don't
like
even think,
open running.
I don't think I
Yeah.
had any restrictions. I didn't give a fuck.
You were handshaking?
Oh,
you
my
know
God.
what? I think I was too. Because if
I
you were
didn't
Howie
give a
Mandel
fuck.
doing this,
You didn't
we
give
were
a
like,
fuck.
what is this guy?
Does it
Howard
every-
Hughes?
yeah.
It felt weird.
So,
now we're
you know,
all Howie.
Now we're all like,
Yeah.
you know, we all have rules.
Yeah.
But I remember it really hit me, and I was like, oh, wow. Like, okay, my friend has COVID. He's still my friend. I love him. But I can't be in the same room with him right now because he has COVID. I gotta wait. My friend isn't COVID, right? My friend is not the coronavirus. My friend has the coronavirus. My friend is amazing. He currently has the coronavirus. In 2 weeks, I can see him. Okay.
Right.
My friend is greedy.
Yeah.
Is my friend greedy? Or
Does he have
does
greedy?
he have greedy on him? Like, is he afflicted with greed? Right? So it's like,
Throwing
you know what I
mics.
mean? Like that started to be like, I was like, oh, whoa, no, my friend currently has greed.
Yeah.
He's not greedy.
Yes.
He's good. If I were to sit and think about his life, I could, and only God knows, but let's just say, because I actually do need to make some judgment calls in order to protect myself.
Yeah.
You know, there's this whole, I remember there was this podcast I listened to, I cannot remember what it was, but there's this podcast I listened to that was like, you know, our brains need to know this is a couch and not a bomb so that we can sit on it, right? So on some level, we are making judgment calls that we have to make in order to put ourselves in positions to feel healthy and feel happy and feel all the things we want to feel. So I can make a level of saying, my friend, there's something going on with greed. I'm not going to try and connect all the dots, but maybe I've seen enough to say there's something going on with greed. But is he? I'll never say that. Maybe he has greed. So what does that mean? Well, maybe that means I'm not going to bring him to my house, because maybe he'll look at my shit in some way
Right.
that feels weird.
Right.
And that means I just got to meet with him. If we're going to hang out, we hang out outside. We hang out at a coffee shop. You know, so there's certain people that you're like,
Right.
oh, they have something going on
Right.
that might need to change, like how I interact with them
Right.
in order for us to both access the most loving, the most merciful, the most amazing parts, so that other stuff doesn't get in the way.
Right.
And that's how I've really viewed, because I had all these friendships that were kind of complicated, where I was like, man, like, why do I feel this? Why do I feel that? But I know I love him. And it just started to become clear. I was like, he's good. We are all good. And then maybe it's like, oh, right now he has
Yes.
jealousy.
Right.
Right now he has anger.
Right.
And I can kind of, only God knows, but I can kind of suppose why those things happen. So now that I know that, what are the rules for how I'm going to interact so that I'm not bitter?
Yeah.
And so that I'm not walking around hurt, and so that I can appreciate like the love that I do have.
You're separating the person from the symptom.
Yeah, in my mind, I frame it as a spiritual illness. You know, there's something
Right.
going on,
Right.
like in the unseen,
Right.
that they're.
And what gave it to him? It probably wasn't just him
He didn't want it.
going out licking
That's
phone booths.
such a good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone wants to be this way.
No. I don't think
No one wants to be angry.
I would say he's scared. Like to
Yes.
me, it always comes down to some feeling of unsafety.
yes.
Or you just don't feel okay in your body. You don't feel
Yes.
okay in the world. You know how complicated it can get in here.
Yeah.
And it comes out as like, if I had more money,
Yeah.
I could finally protect myself.
Yeah.
Or if I was big and scary, I could keep all the
Yeah.
other people away
Yeah.
from me. I mean, it's a cliche. You see it in movies. It's like the scary guy that just needs love.
Yeah.
Sorry, the story is so boring, guys. But like, it turns out, I didn't make this up, but everything is either love or asking for it. It's like the scary guy is asking for love. And I know we think that just means being nice.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. A lot of people are turned off by just phony nice, just kind of like, hi, you want a Werther's original? That's not love.
Yeah.
What Fred Rogers was doing, that's more like love. It's about space. Can you give them space? Maybe the most loving thing I can do to you if you had anger was to let you be angry.
Yes.
You know
And
what I mean?
that's fine.
Not just being like, let's get a cupcake.
Yes.
Where did I learn that? A fucking commercial for Hostess?
Right.
That's not love.
And that's
we're back to consumerism.
No,
by the
but
way.
and that's so important what you're saying too, because it's like even in the framing that I was kind of providing, it's not like if I know you're angry, I can't be around you. It's more like I think the intention I'm having is like, if I know your anger is so overriding that there's nothing like that I can do, then maybe I'm going to treat you in a different way. But also it's like, let's create the space for people to just be angry and to do what they need to do.
Just so you don't feel weird, there's a lot of times in my life where I go, this has gone, I always quote this line from Lord of the Rings. I go, this is beyond my skill to heal.
Yeah.
I just go like, I can't, I could give you a lot of space, but right now this is toxic.
What do I have the capacity for?
It's just, it's like the air rating.
Yeah.
There's just a little too much smoke here.
Yeah.
Let's let you ride this out.
And by the way, it might be just because I'm busy that day.
Yeah.
Like it might just be actually, I could totally handle like how much of a dumpster fire you are just on Saturday. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just can't do this shit. It's Tuesday. It's really busy, but actually like all these fucking shenanigans.
Yeah.
No problem. Let's just do it. Not now, not today. Like I could do this on Saturday.
Yeah.
And if you can't wait till Saturday and you think now I'm the devil because I made you wait 4 days to lose your mind in front of me, then well now that's on you. That's not on me.
Well,
you know,
Byron Katie would also say on that, like, so let's say you're going through anger and I say I can hang out with you Saturday and it's Wednesday and you call me a fucking piece of shit. I hate you. You're not a real friend. You can do that on that belief. Ramy is mad at me.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he just yelled at me, called me a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And you know that it's true. And I'm like, you've never been so mad at yourself,
insane shit.
So mad at the world, so mad at, you just have nothing. I can't yell at Delta, the airline. So I'm going to yell, I don't do this, but I'm going to yell at the person working the desk. They're not mad at the person at the desk, but in the same way, Ramy is mad. The quick one would be, Ramy just had a death in the family and he yelled at me. But why do we need that? Like, it's what I say, like, in the movie Green Book, like, yeah, we can go on a road trip with anybody. You can go on a road trip with your enemy and realize we're all the same.
Yeah.
We don't have time for 5 million road trips. So can we just fucking jump to the conclusion and act from the assumption of love? And just, I mean, what do you have to lose?
Yes. Yeah, no, it really is like that is to me, as you're saying it, it connects with what we were talking about earlier, just like that desire to need to know.
Yeah.
Like you gotta know. So it's like this person yelled at me. All right, I gotta categorize it as they're angry at me. And it's like, well, hold on for just 1 sec. Like,
right.
You know? And it's funny too, when you're talking about the niceness thing, I just was reading you know Gabor Mate. He has this new book. He's really just amazing amazing author. Oh, he's like you'll love him. But he's laying out some studies around people who are like that Werther's chronically nice, having really serious illnesses.
People pleasers.
Yeah, having really serious illnesses because they're holding things in. They're getting cancer. They're getting all these things. And a lot of the healthcare professionals can tell by someone's disposition in the room if they have the terminal illness or not. Like like they had a crazy radar of being able to know, oh, that like plastered on like whatever that's going on with this person, I think they're actually sick. But if the person is a little more like expressive and whatever, they're like, oh, it's probably something else. Like this person doesn't seem like they have, you know, like it wild. Like
it's
wild.
like emotionally, you want to be more like a river than a pond. And that's with getting your blood moving. That's with getting your digestion moving. That's with all that stuff, like literally in the physical realm, but also emotionally. That's one of the great things about having a partner like Val and having the friends that I have. Sometimes it's just so beautiful. I'll say to Val, like, I'm just being mad. And then say what I'm mad about.
Yes.
Because to this guy, I haven't read his book, but like, if you what does a pond do? It turns green and all that stuff.
It festers, man.
It festers and it
just
starts smelling like shit.
Yeah.
Keep it running. Like,
yes.
That's why, you know, I'm with you. I try to forgive, meaning I have very specific thoughts about forgiveness. I don't try to forgive. I try to dissolve what I think is an affront in God's love, meaning I can't do it. I try to surrender the affront or whatever it is into God's love because I know me. Get the fuck out of here. Pete's not going to forgive shit. Pete's going to be like, maybe I'll forgive him, and then like later down the line he'll owe me.
Yeah,
like that. He's always going to look. I'm not proud of that, but that's the way the ego is. It's like, what can I get out of this?
Much. We got so many schemes.
We're all doing it.
Yeah.
Sweet old grannies are doing it. Newborn babies are doing it. They're figuring out ways to like get their needs met. Meaning it's not evil.
No.
But I do not go to my ego for forgiveness or mercy or love or understanding. I'm like, we got to get Pete to the side.
Yeah.
And that's my work is I was thinking about somebody that I was just like really hard on. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm like, I can't intellectualize. I actually think it's really cheap to intellectualize like, maybe they're having a bad day. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Just give it to the love that deep down I really am.
Yeah.
Meaning it's not even an abstract thing. I mean, it's what, as I always say, it's what's looking out our eyes right now. Mercy is looking out your eyes right now. It's in you. Find it and kick that shit into the fires of Mount Doom. That's the only chance you have.
Yeah.
Because if you go like, I forgive you, Dad.
Yeah.
Everyone was doing their best. Like, fuck off. That's what therapy is selling me. I need something stronger. I do. I literally need someone to go like, no, the force that created the universe is somewhere in you.
Yeah.
Find it.
Yeah.
Drag that dead carcass to it
Yeah.
and roll it in like the mob.
Yeah.
Roll it in and walk away. That's your only chance. And you won't even really be there to do it because Pete won't do it.
Yeah.
If any of that made sense.
No, to me, it sounds like submitting to God.
Exactly.
That is what that sounds like.
It's funny, the further I go, the more I come back to like going like, you got to trust God. And I'm
it's
like,
fuck,
fuck,
you were a step away from saying in a way that I would have like totally agreed with Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior. Like you were like a step away from saying that. Like that's essentially like it. But I think what's so
you
clear.
Christian.
No, but I know that's like the punchline. What's so clear about this all to me too, though, is like you even saying that step further away and then come back to it. There is what's missing in so much community building is that journey. You need to question, you need to all that, and then come back to it. You need to like actually live
I'm raising my hand.
Please.
We're coming back. When we come back, we're going to talk about that journey and how important it is to walk away from it and return to it.
Yes.
It's what Richard Rohr calls yes, no, yes. It's order, disorder, reorder. It's one of my favorite topics, but I want to hear you talk about it for facts.
Oh, I don't know anything about it. That's
no,
amazing.
you do.
I kind of know about it, but I'm
hear
excited
about your journey too. Your specific journey when you're talking about like leaving the village, going on the journey, and coming back. Couldn't be more interested. We just have, I don't even know if we have a mid-roll on this episode, but if we do, it's happening right now.
This episode, guys, is brought to us by our friends at Next Evo. Next Evo is made the best and most quickly absorbed CBD that I have ever had. And not only that, they blend it with things like adaptogens that help your body cope with stress. So you are attacking stress at two places, at two levels, and it has absolutely become a must-have for me. This is one of those ones where I use my own promo code and order tons and tons of their stress gummies. The new year is a great time to try this if you've never tried it. It's an opportunity to achieve your full potential, but you can't do that if you're stressed. So get ahead of stress this year by experiencing the full potential of CBD with Next Evo Naturals. Next Evo Naturals is the most clinically studied CBD brand, and their smart sorb technology can help get you a better start to the year with products like my favorite, Stress CBD Complex. The whole thing. So many people tell me, because they know I'm into CBD, they go, I don't feel it. I don't know how much to take. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of confusion. The Smart Sorb technology is that basically they figured out how to get it into you. It's over 30 times better absorption, and that's in the first 30 minutes. So you can get your dose just right, and you can know how you're going to feel very, very quickly. Don't just use any CBD brand. Most CBD products on the market only have 2 to 10% absorption, so that's at least 90% actually wasted. Next Evo is different. It delivers 4 times better overall CBD absorption and has been proven in multiple clinical trials. And it's mashed up with, like a mashup, ashwagandha, which I am obsessed with anyway. So this is a great way to get the adaptogen ashwagandha into you, clinically proven to reduce stress by up to 70% and improve concentration by 50%. So this isn't like a wind down thing. This is an eliminate stress, which is in the way of you either enjoying your day or getting your work done. I take it before I do stand-up. I take it before I write. I take it before I do this podcast. So make CBD a part of reaching your full potential with Next Evo Naturals. Go to nextevo.com/podcast and use promo code WEIRD to get 20% off your first order of $40 or more. That's 20% off $40 or more at nextevo.com/podcast with code WEIRD. We're also brought to us by a couple new Pete's Picks, which I'm very excited about. One of them is Rocket Money. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. When I first heard about this, I was like, what a brilliant idea. Over 80% of people have subscriptions that they have totally forgot about, and I'm totally guilty of this. Like that streaming service you bought just to watch one show on, or that free trial that you never even used. Well, how do we find them? For me, they were lost in the shuffle until I used Rocket Money. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you do not want and do not use. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as a click of a button. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel. Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth where they're trying to talk you into staying with them. It's all done with Rocket Money. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person up to $720 a year. $720 a year. It couldn't be easier. I personally had way more. I'm not even comfortable telling you how many subscriptions I had. It was way too many, and with a click of a button, Rocket Money canceled them all and saved me a ton of bread. So stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/weird. That's rocketmoney.com/weird. One more time, rocketmoney.com/weird. Last but not least, just in time for the most rainy season that California has seen in years, I am so happy to have discovered Vessi shoes. These shoes are a game changer. Not only do they look amazing, but what is the Vessi Cloudburst and why is it the best shoe to have for me personally as it's raining like crazy here in California or just anywhere in winter? Well, they have all the features of a rubber winter boot built into a sneaker. It's truly incredible. 100% waterproof, not water resistant, waterproof. That means waterproof and warm, yet lighter and more comfortable than boots. They just look like cool sneakers. Honestly, they're like fashion forward. I looked at them, I was like, the way that the Dymatex coating looks, I was like, that's just a cool pattern that like a hip designer would use. But they're completely waterproof, warm. They have a lugged rubber outsole that gives you extra grip in wet conditions, which I've been benefiting from as I've been having to go outside into the yard to prevent flooding. Added lining inside for an extra warmth in the cold, and they slip on and off. It's quick and easy to get outside. No more lacing up crazy boots. Made from Dymatex, like I said, a super soft knit material that keeps your feet warm in the cold but cool in the warmer months. It doesn't feel like it should be waterproof, but it is, and they're super comfortable, and as I mentioned, they look super cool. So Vessi are my go-to shoes by my door. They keep me dry, they keep me warm, which is so important in California right now if you're following the news. Check them out in the link, vessi.com/weird. That's VESSI.com/weird for a pair of your Vessi shoes. And check them out. Show your support of the show. They have lots of styles to choose from. I'm looking for some sort of promo code. I'm not seeing it. It's just /weird. Yeah, Vessi.com/weird. Support the show. Keep your feet dry. Look cool. Keep them warm. Keep them cool in the summer. They're incredible. Vessi.com/weird. All right, everybody. Let's get back into Ramy Youssef.
Okay, and we're back. just tell me what you meant. I get so excited about this stuff.
Yeah, me too.
And I just don't want to talk too much because I'm so excited to be talking with you. And I think you're brilliant and I'm excited. But what did you mean? Before we get to my Richard Rohr, yes, no, yes, but like that going away from it, what did that mean to you?
I grew up with an understanding of Islam that I grew up in was that our faith asks us to question everything, including the faith itself. And that is what helps strengthen your experience as someone who is living it and embodying it. I grew up with that. I grew up with that being at the bedrock of question everything.
Cool.
Read. You have go ask questions. Figure that out.
What a great service, by the way.
Yeah.
To an understanding of the infinite mystery, the breadth of the universe, the love that hung the stars, I believe is what Dante called it. But like this powerful thing, but we're so fragile with it.
Yeah.
But don't read Richard Dawkins.
Yeah.
Or it's all gonna go away. So you're telling me,
well, one of the most kind of there's really prominent Imam Ghazali, really prominent in Islam, and part of his story as just one of the greatest thinkers of our tradition is he kind of has this crisis and says, "Wait, I need to know all of the other faiths to realize, am I really in the right place? Am I really doing the right thing?"
That's a Joseph Campbell thing, by the way.
Yeah, and he takes that time and he does it, and this is one of the most revered, quoted, embodied figures in our tradition.
Wow.
And
so this is like Billy Graham, to bring it back to the white folks, but like 100% JK, but to bring it to like Christianity, Billy Graham goes, I'm going to read the Quran, but I'd call bullshit on that. More than that, I'm going to like look at it. I'm going to see what's there. I'm going to read the Bhagavad Gita or whatever it might be.
Yes.
And so this is a big symbol of Islam does this.
Yeah, just that questioning and that understanding. And it's like you have to know. And it's also, too, with Islam, the thing to keep in mind as well is that there's a belief that, all of the books are books from, prophets and messengers. And so it's like, it's this, way of looking at the world of saying, oh, it is all connected. There is that lineage. That's how, and of course, Islam's like, and we're the final best version, but that's its own thing.
Right.
But to me, like the thing that and it's really, there's so many schools of thought.
It was the latest update though.
It was.
Like, I'm not trying to be funny.
No.
Judaism, Christianity has a little bit of a, we're the update.
Yeah.
And you don't always read all the terms and conditions. You click accept.
Yeah.
Now you're a Christian.
Yeah.
And then Islam comes, and Muhammad said Jesus was a prophet.
Yeah, and Moses.
Was a prophet. That's why it's the big three. It's the monotheistic big three.
Yes.
But yes, I could see they're intertwined. But in Islam, would they mind if you wanted to fuck with Hinduism or Buddhism? It sounds like in your branch.
Read about it. Go through. I mean, like, look, I think that there is, of course there's going to be this understanding of like, you should be Muslim, but duh. Like, I mean, they're not going to not say that. They're not going to be
I'm not going to not say you should be Muslim.
Like, hey, go try the other stuff and maybe you end up there. Like, it's not that.
It's not.
But it is kind of this idea of like, it's almost like, it's like a really confident money back guarantee. It's like, it's really like, it's just like, it's like, we'll, go ahead. We'll give you your money back.
100%
money back guarantee. Go ahead, try all the other ones. You're going to come back. Or we'll give you your money back.
You're going to like the way you look.
You're going to like the
I guarantee it.
Islam. Yeah. It's really
that
like.
was originally,
It is so confident in like, in that. And so, that's the tradition. That's what,
okay. I mean, I'm going to call it that's as good as it gets when it comes to a religion's perspective on looking at other faiths. Because, you kind of have to be like, you'll be back.
Of course.
You'll be back.
Of course.
Otherwise, why would you be there?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So when you're raised in it.
Yeah.
And then what was the inciting incident for like, I'm going to look at other things, or was it just throughout? You were always looking at other things.
No, I definitely like had a fascination, especially in high school. I remember I was like, it was high school and a little shortly after high school. One time I was working at the Apple store and this guy was like, who I worked with was like, you're only Muslim because you grew up in it. You know that, right? And then he just like walked away. Like it hit me to my core. Yeah. I'll never forget him.
I think I was 32 when I figured that out. Then somebody was like, it was Pete Rollins. He's like, your faith is when you were born,
Yeah.
which is a real noodle baker. What if you were born before Muhammad?
Yeah,
Or what
yeah,
if you
yeah.
were born before Jesus?
Yeah.
You would have, or where you were born and to whom you were born.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You just kind of have to go like, I'm with you.
Right.
I would have worshipped Ra
Right.
if I was born in Egypt.
Right.
Let's concede the point. There's no
Yeah.
reason to
Yep.
go, but I did. I would be like, no, Jesus would have whispered to me on the wind, no matter what. Like I would have found Jesus, which is just kind of like another way of saying, no, my mom and dad will find me if I'm lost in the woods. Like,
Yeah.
it's as close to you as your parents, like what you were raised with.
Yeah, I was really raised too with like, we respect the people of the book. And I think that is, it would be talking about Christians, would be talking about Jews, like this is, in our tradition, in our faith to say we respect the people in the book and, they're all on the path to God as well. Like this is there, right? And I think you could extend that, to anyone who is like truly seeking that, higher power, love, like looking at the unseen in a certain way. Obviously, there's all these, and it's because even within the faith, there is massive debates that have gone on throughout the course of the history, which is, hey, what we're reading in the Quran, did this happen didactically, or are these parables and are these just, ideas that are supposed to be symbols for what we're supposed to be doing? And there are people on both sides.
Right.
And there are both legitimate positions to hold. You can say, no, this is historically exactly what happened. And there's a bunch of people who are saying, yes, that's it. And you say, people, these are, symbols and these are things that are, here to teach us. And it is our job to personalize all of this so that it all fits into what we're doing. So there's all these different ways of thinking about it. So I am definitely, someone who's like, yeah, whoever is just seeking, like I'm attracted to seekers. That's like what I'm into, if I think about what you've made and like what we do on our show, it's like, you're seeking. Like that's what's interesting. That's what's interesting about this conversation. So anyone who's on that, it's always really, that's what I love that. And I think what you were talking about earlier is how frustrating it can be when the seeking is turned off. So there are people who are part of the religion and like it's like it ends there. It's almost like we're just gonna hone in on these stories and these details without curiosity, without seeking. We're just taking it and downloading it and that's it. And then it's like a very robotic existence. Right.
It's not a river anymore, it's a pond.
It's a pond.
Yeah.
And so that thing, and I'm curious, to what you're about to tell me because I feel like I'm gonna be really excited by it. It's just like that circle we're talking about. It's like that to me is that never turning off that seeking, never turning off that curiosity. That was something that was very important for me. And so when that guy had said that to me, like, oh, you're only this because you were born in it or whatever.
It was Steve Jobs.
It was Steven Jobs. He walked in and
he often did.
As he often did.
Checking in every Apple store.
And you know how it is, when you're dealing with people that, I mean, Jim.
It's another
Cameron.
Jim Cameron.
Yeah, this is like legends in their fields walking up to you and you're just trying your best.
And of all the things he could say, to the one Muslim employee,
so you're only Muslim because you were born in it. But it was also, I remember it. I was already there, but it was like incredible, like fuel that fueled even more reading for me and more experiences for me and made me realize
it's a gift.
It's a gift.
Well, that's what always happens is the hero resists the call in the hero's journey. Like you get it. And one of my favorite ones is there's a wolf and he gets separated from his pack and he's raised by sheep. So some sheep find this little baby wolf.
Yeah.
And the wolf gets raised by the sheep and eventually they give him some wool to wear. And he looks like a little sheep, but it's a wolf. And he lives with them into adulthood and he's eating grass and all this stuff. And then one day a wolf sees the wolf living with the sheep and he goes up to him, he grabs him and he goes, "You're a wolf." And of course he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I'm a sheep." And then he gets meat and he force feeds it to the wolf sheep that had only been eating grass, and he chokes on it. And I think that's super important, is the call to awaken to your true identity. I would say this is way beyond culture. This is a metaphor for what God is doing to us, saying like, wake up, you're not this, you're something else. And we choke on it. And that's a super important part of the story. You don't just eat the meat and go like, I guess I'm a wolf.
Yeah.
You hate it.
Yeah.
It feels like death.
Yeah.
In fact, from what I've experienced and from what I've studied, That's how you know it's happening. Is you go, it's the dark night of the soul. You go like, this is absolute death. I'll never come back from this. You're very close to realizing you're a wolf, and then you'll go back and be in your wolf pack. You know what I'm saying? So,
And you go kill all those sheep.
and of course, you go and kill your fake mom and your fake dad and your fake brother and your old girlfriend.
Everything's Star
It's weird
Wars.
that we were having sex, by the way. But what I'm saying is, when people would say that to me, like, you're only Christian because you were raised that way, or the Bible contradicts itself, or whatever. There's a pick, take your pick. There's a million things you could say to dismiss it all. You really think a talking snake, talk to a naked woman, all that sort of stuff. You hate it.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being the journey that you have to go on. Mine was my divorce. That's crashing is a hero's journey, and my life is a hero's journey. That doesn't mean I'm special. Everybody's typically on something resembling a hero's journey. And my getting kicked out of the village was my wife having an affair and leaving me. Then it ends up being the most essential thing. But I lose my faith. And what I was going to say was the yes, no, yes is you say yes when you're a child. Then you say no at a certain point, usually in some point of like discomfort or doubt, or for a lot of people it's college. Like that's a cliche. Like you take some philosophy course and you go like, this is actually dumb. And you go back and tell your parents like, it's actually not the way that it is. And that's great. Really, that's a mitzvah. That's like a joyful thing, because that no, then that goes back to the yes. Often it doesn't. Our culture doesn't really celebrate that. But if it goes back into the yes, the second yes is the meaningful yes.
Yeah.
The first yes was just because a bunch of animals told you what you were. The second yes is you're like, oh, I just realized I'm choosing this. And it's hard to, you know, as a father, I have to remember that too. Leela can believe whatever she wants, but it's really beautiful to remember when they go through that, like, no, it's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Super important to be like, you got to choose it yourself.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
Yeah.
Did you ever lose your faith? Was there ever like I'm not Muslim?
No, never like anything like that. I think it'd just be being disconnected.
Yeah.
Or being kind of like
Drifting,
being, you know, forgetful.
Yeah.
Being in kind of a state where it wasn't in the forefront of my thought.
Yeah.
And
how old are you now?
I'm 31.
Okay. Yeah, you're still a young man. It's kind of, not to dismiss the young, but I find it's really hard to, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
I find it gets easier as you get older. There's a certain brokenness.
Yeah.
You start to see just a little bit of like slowing down and decaying that's really helpful.
Yes.
to humble you and to lock you into some of that focus. So there's
like,
certain things.
Everything being possible is very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so at a certain point, you're just like, all right, you know, you see it happen at different stages in your life, but like, I'm very thankful that there weren't, you know, maybe there were limitations in my life. I never viewed them unless they really hit me over the head.
Yeah.
So it's like I wanted to play in the NBA, and then like I kept believing I'd get that growth spurt, and then at a certain point I had to roll it out. And then I'm like, okay, fine. But then at a certain point I was just like so full of optimism that I was like, well, I could do anything other than play in the NBA. You know, and that's still like a really fucking overwhelming place to be in. You know what I mean? And
you're right. We're back to the limitations.
You know, the older
4-day shoot.
Older you get, you kind of are like, all right, like this is what it really, you know, there's like more reality. And actually I'm 32 next month. So I'm going to say I'm 32 because the reason I say that is because I infinitely feel 30 and 31 have been easier than my 20s.
Yeah.
Like in terms of just like calming the fuck down. Like and being a little more real about like, all right, this is actually what my life looks like.
Yeah.
Like this is like, let me just chill.
Can I just say I'm 43. It only that it's just
so like
more and more of that.
It's I hope.
And then before you know it, you look back on your 20s and you're like, what was that? It was so loud.
What was
and
that?
There's so much late night eating.
I know.
Like it really, and that's the struggle. It's one of the reasons I'm glad I did this podcast when I was 10 years younger.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget when Leela's in her 20s that there was a time when that was like a good time to go to fucking Lollapalooza or whatever it was.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Some of the questions that I had watching the show, just as conversations, not as like a speed round.
Yeah.
It's not a speed round. Does God care if your toes are clean? You know what I'm saying? Like that's a question your character asks. Yeah. And I wrestle with stuff like that too. But like, what are your feelings?
It's
Just
like
kidding.
a.
I'm just kidding.
It's like
She's just
a.
telling me the time.
I know. It's like what? It's a question. It's so funny because we've been making the show.
Oh, you
I
get
guess
this a lot?
Well, no. It's more like I wrote that scene when we shot the pilot in 2017. It's like 6 years ago, right?
Yeah.
That I wrote that, and every year in my personal life, that question means something to me in a different way.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, I think what I've kind of come, so for anyone who hasn't seen it, the scene is basically, we have a ritual washing we do before we pray. And my character in the pilot is doing it, and part of it is washing your feet. And a guy at the mosque sees him doing it and says, when you washed your feet, you didn't go between your toes. And that means you're going to hell. Because if the water doesn't go between your toes, the devil goes between your toes. Mm-hmm. So this question of, is that really how it is? I pray and I hope that it's not. So that's like, and this is a real God only knows. But I think there's enough evidence to say that there's a lot of mercy that that's not like the framing. But the importance of what does it really mean to go between your toes? Because I think when I first started making the show, I wasn't making fun of going between your toes, but I more was standing from a place of like, yo, why is the faith that I know, because I've felt really connected through prayer. I have. Like when I bend down on the ground, it is like this like physical submission into the nothingness. And there's even a part of it that feels silly, like that I'm just like bending, facing east. And then that also helps me drop any thought of I'm cool or any thought of whatever. Like
It's
I
humbling,
literally,
yeah.
I
It's
feel
literally
humbled.
prostrating
I feel
yourself, yeah.
humbled,
Yeah.
prostrating.
Yeah.
And I always felt really connected to that. And then I always felt like there was this attitude around gatekeeping getting to do that. Because there's so many people saying, this doesn't make you a real Muslim if you do this. This doesn't make you real. So I wrote that scene from a perspective of how can someone say, if you don't go through the toes, you don't get access to the feeling of transcending. That's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But then the years go by and I realize as I do actually in my real life try to create different relationships with that act of prostrating, and I wash up before I pray, when I wash my feet and I wash between my toes, I am inherently more present.
Right.
And the connection is way deeper because I'm slowed down. Right. So it's like if I'm like, oh, I gotta pray, and I'm just like wash my face real quick, splash water on my feet, run in to pray.
Yes.
That's one way to pray. But then, wait, no, let me stop. I'm putting some water, like I'm running my fingers through my toes. I'm really thinking about, because so much of the romance or the spiritual kind of, guide around washing up before you pray is like you're washing everything you did off of you, and you get a new opportunity to restart. And you get that 5 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's like,
yeah.
And really like, and I lived in LA for 10 years. And I remember, getting involved in a lot of like, I went to the David Lynch's, meditation. I went to, a couple of like mushroomy ayahuasca type places. I only ever tried the shrooms, and that was later actually. It took me a really long time to actually try. I never did the ayahuasca. But presence is emphasized so much. And I remember being in one of those circles where someone was like, yeah, I do 5 to 7 daily meditations, And I think you look at like, you download the Calm app on your phone. It's inviting you to do it multiple times a day. The Breathwork app is saying, hey, it's time for a breath. Right. Multiple times a day. So we know we need this reset. We know we need this presence. And so that between the toes became to me less about, does God care? It's more like, well, I care about being present to that connection. That's why, it's like, what can I do to prepare for that connection that I care so much about?
Right. To me, it would be about like what I hear you saying. I think, let me just put it my way. It's like God's love is there, And there are things we can do that removes the static from the radio. It didn't
Yes.
actually change God's
Yes.
love, but like you're saying, like a certain posture,
Yes.
a certain breath,
Yes.
a certain food. Like when you do I haven't done ayahuasca either, but if I did, I would do the ayahuasca diet because they're like, you shouldn't have like
Yeah.
steak in your stomach.
Yeah.
You don't want to go visit a python
Yes.
in your mind.
How are you arriving?
Full of steak. You don't want to
Yes.
go to, and I actually had a bad mushroom trip. I don't eat meat, but that day, for some reason, I ate an In-N-Out burger. I think it was to impress a girl, and or fit in with a girl.
Yeah.
And then I took mushrooms, and I was like, oh no. The joke I made was, I was like, psilocybin was the medicine I took that day.
Yeah.
The drug I took was In-N-Out burger.
Yeah,
Because it just felt
yeah.
so wrong.
Yes.
To have the blood of 1,000 cows in my stomach. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like, it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's not one cow, guys. That's 1,000
it's-
cows.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, that was a little meat tangent. But I hear you. It's like C.S. Lewis saying, prayer doesn't change God, prayer changes us. To that, I would add, and this might be too new agey to you, when you're appreciating slowing down, and I would say waiting for God like a burglar, that's what
Yes.
washing deliberately is, or that's what's dropping in, or that's
Yes.
what praying is, like getting really right on the edge of the knife. Who are you deep down? I would say the animating principle of you is part of God. Like I say this a million times on the show, but it's like, yeah, you're made of water. God's the ocean, but like there's water in you. So God is slowing down and enjoying it as you.
Yes.
Like that's part of it too. Meaning, instead of thinking of another thing over there, God, that this also helps with this, that's watching me suffer. I like to say, God is suffering with me. Like I am suffering and God is in my suffering, instead of watching going like, wish I could help you or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Involved in all things. So when I slow down, I can get into that clean relationship.
I love that. And I love that static too. Yeah, removing that static.
Yeah, just clearing it up. It's not that you were bad.
Yeah. It
and
could
you needed
be there.
to wash.
Yeah.
I mean, you can believe that if you want. To me, it's like, it's the same thing as like dimming the lights or lighting a candle or whatever
Or
it is.
like you could theoretically, depending on how much there is, you could drive with jizz on the windshield. But it would be better to not.
I've never full Statue of Liberty.
just as many would,
fantastic.
as someone would say, you know, it's like
Until this moment, I wasn't sure I hadn't offended you. Not offended you, but just kind of like, what a weird thing to say.
no, it's very relevant.
In LA, dude, so many dicks. I love that. Yeah, there's something, a date, making love. I know that I'm not trying to mix it, but I'm just like, the times that Val and I have had like a spiritual connection sexually, it's like a very, this is all we're doing.
Yes.
What I'm saying, a meal. Just to take sex, because people, back to you're Christian, people get weird about sex.
Yeah.
Food, we can all agree on food. The meals where you're like, or tea ceremony. Like if you really make a cup of tea, if you really do anything, like a benevolent alien, that's the whole thing. That's what we're trying, that's what we're doing on the podcast. It's like, just this conversation.
Yeah.
Of course, just washing your feet is going to put you in a place
to
pray. And I do think it's funny. You know, it reminds me of that the Calm app or all these things are trying to make us do things that are ancient.
Yes.
And yet still seem so wacky. I was going to say wackadoo like the Australians.
Yeah.
But like in the same way, how many of us are learning that like having a day without your phone is really great? That's Shabbat, dude. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason why these things are happening and they actually become more relevant.
Absolutely. No, we bounce back and forth. The humans do this. It's just like, this is, you know, we're so incredibly reactionary, you know, but I think that's kind of what we were saying earlier. It's like the arrogant part is thinking like, oh, it's just stupid that all this tradition's been passed down. You know, I think part of the DNA, even when I wanted to make the show, was like, I was really interested in that negotiation of, okay, I'm looking at this tradition that I come from. What do I want to keep and what do I want to let go of? You know, and kind of watching this character kind of like, and these people deal with that.
Very similar to
you know,
with
it's like,
Crashing
right?
I was like, what stays?
Yeah, what stays? Yeah. And part of that is really just the more you go through it too, you realize it's like, oh, what was never even supposed to be here to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of the junk is culture.
Yeah. Yeah, an identity.
Yeah.
And an ego trip.
Yeah.
I hear you. Tell me about your mushroom experience. Just because I couldn't be more interested.
You know,
No?
mushrooms.
I thought
no,
because I was going to say, you can say no. Obviously.
It's so not that interesting, but
I'll be the judge of that. I'm just
no,
kidding.
it was like, it was so not that interesting, but very illuminating. It was what I needed. I had been really holding off on doing anything. I've never
On the
done
show
anything.
you said.
Yeah,
Like,
I've
I
never
might do
done
mushrooms at some point.
At some
And I'm
point,
like,
yeah.
"Ah."
And when I wrote that, I hadn't. And
Yeah.
and I did. I think I did shrooms for the first time after maybe even after we did 2 seasons. I did it for the first time. So I'm new to it. I did it like 2 years ago for the first time now. And I've been holding off, and I did them with my girlfriend at the time, who's not my wife. We got married.
Oh, nice.
And
Congrats.
yeah,
That's
thank you. And it was like we did it cool because we got this like tree house in Topanga Canyon, and it was huge. It was like this massive deck, you know, a big deck overlooking, like you felt like you're just in
Yes.
a forest.
What a great, couldn't,
Oh
no
my
notes.
God.
No notes.
And we went early, and I
Yes.
hadn't eaten anything the night before, and like you're saying, like
No
we were just
notes.
prepared.
Yes. Yeah, you got to
And-
wash your feet before that.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not
yeah.
trying to be funny.
No,
It's like,
I
that's
prayed
the
before I did
attitude.
shrooms. I literally was just like, yo, I want to like,
Yeah.
I want this to be effective in some way, you
Right,
know, and
right.
like, you know, and I think the main thing that happened to me was, first off, like I felt my body totally different for the first time. Like I was like,
Aware
I was
of
like,
it.
I'm taller than I think I am. You know, I could feel my back, you know, and I felt this like, I was like, oh, I'm always scrunching my forehead. And I was on shrooms, and I was like, I don't have to do that. Like I could feel loose in my forehead, you know, like my eyes could be more open. So a lot of it was really physical. And then I think a lot of it was I just felt this massive zoom out on my life, and I had just finished delivering and releasing the season, and you know what that's like.
Yeah.
Those periods are really, really stressful.
That's why I'm so glad I get to watch Ramy, because like I've never seen Crashing. I've just watched cuts. I just get to watch that. It's so fun. I wish you could experience that.
No,
But
it's
you'll
like,
never see it. Every
it's
shot is a memory.
So
You're
strenuous.
like, I remember that day. And all that work. Yeah.
And I was coming out of that, but also just like, I also was someone who, for many years, I didn't put anything online. I didn't put any stand-up online. I was very private in terms of just like, I made some sketches when I was in high school. And then after that, it was like, okay, I'm just going to work on everything alone, like in a room. Like, I don't want to, I'll go to a comedy club. You know what I mean? Like, you're in the stand-up game. You see how everyone does. Even now, it's way more than even before. But like, I, out of nowhere, basically felt like I got jolted from a private life where I got to like do things in front of people to suddenly like a more public experience that could be kind of dissected and viewed. And I think I was coming off of the intensity of how that felt for me. And this is something I feel all the time too with artists, where it's so interesting. Like and I think many people, in the way that I think everyone is good, I think everyone could be an artist, but like there are like fewer things in the way of the people who become artists, or they just have a will where they really can like express and say certain things. And I felt like we have to be so sensitive in order to point out certain things and turn them into something that we offer. And then you're so raw and so sensitive that any feedback that comes in about it is also incredibly hurtful or sensitive.
Yeah, that's right.
Even if it's positive, it's overwhelming.
The sensitivity that enabled you to make art is the same sensitivity that makes it
so
really
hard to
difficult
release
to
it.
release art. Yeah.
So hard to release it. It's really because you don't have as many walls, you know,
that's right.
to protect you
Right.
too. And so I was feeling stressed and unprotected at the time when I took it.
I just had an image of a lobster who takes off his shell or her shell to make art with the shell.
Yeah.
And then all the other lobsters come and watch it. And there's this like naked lobster
Wow.
at the premiere
Wow.
being like, I hope there's no pebbles floating around this
Wow.
water. Yeah, right?
See, you had that image, and you're not even on shrooms, right? And that's
no one said I'm not on
no.
shrooms.
That's actually like to fast forward to like after shrooms. Big takeaway I had was I can tap into that state of mind when I'm
Right.
not on it. It taught me how to get to this place.
Yeah, it made the path in the snow. Follow your footsteps.
Yeah, so much clearer for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was in it, I felt this thing I hadn't felt ever, where I just had this zoom out, and I was worried about taking any sort of drug of it being losing control and going into something dark. And what I felt on it was, it is so amazing that I don't have control in this moment. Even though I didn't feel out of control, but I just felt like I was genuinely flowing with what was happening in a way, which is, I'm still present. Because I think there's this thing when you think, if I don't have control, that means I'm not present. But it's like, no, you can be present without control. And that really taught me that. And then I also was in this place where I was like, wow, I really, everything's okay. I don't have to be so worried. Yeah, I just saw everything. Like, I just had a really warm feeling the whole time. It couldn't have been more positive for me.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I know exactly what you mean. It's all happening. There's like do you make the sun rise? Do you make it go down? You know what I mean? Like, don't you see all this thing that you're a part of that can be revealed to you when you really think it's all about you, and it can, like you keep saying, zoomed out, and you're like, no, I'm part of a whole thing. You could just call it life. You could call it God. You could call it Leela, whatever you want to say, but it's happening.
Yeah.
And you're a part of it. I can't believe how self-centered we are. Not even in a bad way. Like, we're so self-centered we don't even know we're self-centered.
Yeah.
That when you get a moment where you're simultaneously more in your body but also more expansive, you're just like, wow, I thought I was carrying the whole thing. It's like, no, the sun's going to go up and down even if you don't think about it once. Isn't that great?
It's amazing.
Yes.
It's what an amazing system.
I know. And you're being supported by this couch. I'm sorry, I have to plug the couch. Great Meryl. I'm just kidding.
Hey, man, the couch keeps this podcast going. This couch and Me Undies. I don't know what the sponsorships are, but
okay, so we're almost out of time because I do have what is it? 210. Okay, this is great. Can you tell me a religious experience you had? You kind of alluded to that. It's probably very difficult to put into words, but is there anything that comes to mind? And then I just have one last question, then we'll get out of here.
I had this experience going to Mecca that was...
You went to Mecca?
I went to Mecca, yeah. I went and did... there's like 2 pilgrimages you can do. There's one that's like the Hajj, which is like the big one. And there's kind of a smaller pilgrimage called Umrah, which you can just do at any time, really. Anytime you can get to Mecca, you can go and do it. And I was there, and it was this time where it was so simple, so simply small. There was literally like a petty argument happening between someone and someone else in my family. And I heard that my aunt, like my great aunt actually, but like everyone has kids so young that she just feels like my aunt, but it's like my mom's aunt, but really my aunt, was there. And I called someone in the family and I was like, hey, can you give me her number? I don't have what number her SIM card is in Saudi. I have her Egypt number, but she's got a Saudi number. So I need that number so I can call her because I want to see her. Like, we're both in Mecca at the same time.
Yeah.
And the person I was talking to in my family was just kind of like, because you could tell there was like, they were upset with her or with someone or whatever. And they just like, were like, don't worry about it. You just focus on you being there. You don't have to see her, and like hangs up on me. And I'm like, why can't I just get this phone number? Why does everything have to be so complicated? Why are we so dramatic? And we were there I was on this trip. I was there for like 3-4 days, and my luggage never showed up. Like, it just, so I was wearing the same outfit that I like flew there with. And I was about to go to Medina, which is colder. So I had to buy pants. And so I'd had this interaction where I was trying to get her number. I couldn't get it. A day or two goes by. And then I'm sitting in my hotel room and I'm like, I'm going to Medina tomorrow. I need to get pants. And I'm like possessed. I'm like, I have to go get these pants. And I leave the hotel room. I don't even bring my phone. And I just go over to there's this mall, and I go over there and I'm like, I need pants. I ask someone, and they go to the store. I go to the store and I'm looking in this floor and I'm like, where are the pants? And then they go up this escalator. I go up the escalator and I'm still looking around. And I just go, I'm like trying to find someone who works there. And I go and I go, excuse me, do you know where the pants are? And this woman turns around. And it's my aunt. And if I tell you how many people
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
in Mecca, you ever see the pictures of just people?
Yeah. This isn't Woodstock 97. It's 10
This
times that.
is
Yeah.
just.
Yeah.
She's right there.
Wow. And
And-
she's holding pants. She goes, it's funky cold Medina. You're going to want to wear these.
And this is a story about the best pair of pants I ever got in my life. So these pants are, the material is, I would
Yes.
say, me undies like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugg pant.
Uggs for thighs.
Oh, wait, Perfect Jean. They're a
The
sponsor.
perfect jean.
Yeah, the perfect jean.
But it wasn't. I wish it was. So it was like, it was this, and I'm telling you, there was just this petty stuff going on in the family. And we take this photo together, and then I send it to one of my cousins, and my cousin puts the whole family on the same, like this one thread on WhatsApp
Yeah.
that lives on till today, where everyone talks on this thread, just honestly in a way that we didn't before. So it's not like it was just it literally was like we're all communicating in a different, closer way.
Yes.
None of that stuff got in the way. It was just this really small thing, but I just remember, and look, there's so many moments in my life where I just felt possessed to go somewhere or to do something.
Yeah.
And it was life-changing and amazing, and it was exactly where I was supposed to be.
Wow.
And there's so much of life that just, again, like feels out of our control and just feels destined. And, you know this. It's like, look at how successful you've been, and you look back at it and you're like, it'd be crazy to sit and be like, I chose all of it and it's all because of me. You're kind of like, this is what a fucking miracle.
Right. No, it's absolutely true. Because I have a 30-second story. I was supposed to meet this agent. I was on Best Week Ever at the time. I've told the story a million times, but I love it. I was on Best Week Ever at the time, a show on VH1 in New York. And I had a general meeting with this guy named Avi Gilbert. And he was like, you got to meet Mike Berkowitz, who's my agent now, but he wasn't at the time.
My first manager, Avi Gilbert.
Oh, there you go. Gotta be with Avi. If you're in New York. And he goes, come meet Mike Berkowitz.
We're going to have to cut out a lot of this podcast. Sorry, just rewind so you can cut this part out.
I walk into Mike Berkowitz's office and he's on the phone and he goes, I don't know any comedians that are on Best Week Ever. And he hangs up the phone. And because I walked in the office at that moment, I worked for 2 years.
Wow.
And like, what?
Wow.
That's
Wow.
my great aunt in Mecca story. It was really, really crazy. Changed my life.
Yeah.
It made me me a professional comedian.
Yes.
I went from no job to I had a job.
No, that's what you're supposed to be doing that.
Nuts.
That's it.
Yeah. Listen, look for the clues. Look for the clues, I say. Thank you, podcast host. This has been awesome.
We've had so much nuanced conversation. Please don't end it on look for the clues. So much happened.
Look for the clues.
That was really like, I got excited multiple times. Don't edit it out.
Leave jizz on the windshield. Edit out look for the clues.
Fucking edit out look for the clues.
And it was also like I didn't look at you. Look for the clues. Because I knew it was bad.
Oh yeah, you threw this all away. Like just you couldn't.
Now I want t-shirts that say look for the clues. That's the only way to redeem this. We'll go on a tour called the Look for the Clues tour.
Peter, you couldn't control yourself. God, that's a Peter moment.
That's a Peter.
That's a Peter.
Pete didn't do that.
No,
That
Peter.
was Peter.
That's Peter.
The final thing we ask, I could talk to you all day, and that's a high compliment. I love this chat. I got very little sleep, and I've loved every moment. I'm trying to give you the best compliment I can. Can you think of the time in your life you laughed the hardest? You've never laughed harder, or any time you've laughed really, really hard? Because it's kind of an on-the-spot question, here are the prompts. Doesn't have to be a good story.
Yeah.
You could have been a kid. Don't forget you might have been a child.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's somebody fell down. A lot of times it's somebody farted. Sometimes it's on drugs. Sometimes it's just a movie or something. But like maybe it was your siblings. Maybe it was, I don't know, a tickle fight.
There's something
Look for the clues, man.
Something recently happened. Okay, what was it? There's two things I have in my mind. There's one recently that I'm trying to find that I was laughing so hard I was crying. All right, I'll say the one I remember. One, like, honestly, my childhood was filled with my uncles like making me laugh until I cried, but it was just from their like stone cold conviction about like whatever it is they're talking about. Like my uncle, my one,
Is
like,
there anything funnier?
no, just
digging your heels
conviction.
in.
It's why like when we make the show and it's like with Muslims, like Muslims are just convicted. That's why it's so funny. Like you know, religious people just have
Fiercely
conviction. They're just like, this
opinionated,
is what it is, and it's so funny to be so serious about
Me
something.
and my friend Kurt, I've been friends with him for 20 years.
Yeah.
We still go, it's in the scriptures.
Yeah.
It's in the scriptures.
Yeah,
Because we
yeah.
walked by a guy yelling that at my
Yeah.
at my college. It was crazy.
It just so like, you know, and I remember like my uncle was telling this story once. He's so convicted and so convinced that Condoleezza Rice and Bill Clinton
Are
fuck.
the same person.
Well, he probably could convince you of that, but that they fuck. Like that's all it was. He just was like, and it was like an hour of just like the proof. And this is why, and like, and
He had his argument.
Oh, it was so
Ready to go.
thought out, and it was just like, why are we talking about this? Why do you care so much about it?
God.
And it was always stuff like that. Like it was just a conspiracy theory that by the end you'd walk out and you'd be like, why do you even want to be right about this? Like, what matters? Like, even if this is true, why did we waste so much time talking about it? Like, you know, which is really what makes my uncle the original podcaster. It's like,
Why are we talking about
okay,
this?
even if this is true.
At least throw to a MeUndies ad,
Yeah.
Uncle,
At least
and
do
get something out of
At
this.
least do something.
Plug some tour dates.
Do something. Why are we talking about this?
Oh my God.
So this
Uncles
is-
are podcasts without ads
Uncle,
or
yeah,
endings.
Yeah, or endings or a record. You just walk away with the feeling of like, am I smarter for those 3 hours? Like, you know, it's just like that's being with an uncle, you know.
You Christian. Ramy, this was excellent.
was so
I think
fun.
we've had a guest say keep it crispy in, do you speak Arabic?
Yeah.
I think Azhar Usman might have said it in Arabic.
Oh, I don't even know if I know how to say crispy in Arabic.
I think he had the same problem.
yeah.
because you have to say,
He
like,
probably wouldn't know
crunchy
how
or
to translate
fried.
it. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We can just go straight.
Or
old
just use
English.
Azhar's.
Yeah.
Go
'Cause
back,
I don't think anybody will
grab
mind.
it, and
Just like suddenly like a very abrupt cut to
yeah,
Azhar.
people confuse us all the time.
Do you know Azhar?
Dude.
I bet Mo and Azhar are sort of similar dudes. Just like those big barrel.
Yeah. So Azhar's a producer on Ramy.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. So
Oh, I didn't know
Azhar's
that.
like, yeah. He's
I love
Yeah.
Azhar.
I love Azhar.
He could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. That's like the most persuasive. Like,
I know.
how he's not.
I know. That might have been my
I'm not saying
introduction
they're
to
not
this
successful. I
podcast.
just mean like selling us
No,
all
I know.
flying cars or something. Like
No, I know. But the first You Made It Weird I listened to was the one you did with him.
Oh, no
And I
shit.
remember it was like,
Do you
it was
remember
like 4 hours.
God
it's like,
give me the faith of old women.
Yeah.
That I still think about that. God give me the faith of
you
old
just- and you
ladies.
just- yeah, and Azhar will say something like that, and I'll just go,
Yes.
yeah, it was just like punctuated with like, yeah.
Dude's like Paul Bunyan or something.
Yeah.
He's like a mythic,
No, he's a legend.
undeniable.
Yeah,
he's like a
undeniable.
legend.
Undeniable.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so let's put Arabic aside, although I do think it's so cool. Anytime I have a bilingual friend. But just say, would you hit us with the Keep It Crispy? And thank you so much for this.
Dude, thank you. Keep it crispy. That's how I feel.
You keep it crispy. Thank you, Ramy.
Thank you, man.
You made it weird. You made it weird.